So I got asked this question yesterday about someone who was doing a lot of sales activity, a lot of prospecting, and was is the kind of person who's very good at making a lot of contacts, which is the opposite problem most people have, but the topic is the same. And her issue was that she didn't adequately follow up because she was so busy making new contacts that she would get 2 or 3 months down the road or 4 months down the road and realize she hadn't followed up with someone who, had engaged. And then she was intimidated, right, or fearful to follow up and how to handle that. So what I'm going to give you is exactly how to handle it. But first you have to understand the importance of it. And it doesn't matter if you're someone who makes a lot of contacts or who only makes a few, but doesn't follow up for whatever reason, right? It could be that you're afraid because that's where you might get the no, and you're afraid of that, which is perfectly normal. But it also could be that you don't manage your process of work well, right? That's something that can be learned. Both of these things, are things that we do, right? We have to learn to do. But it doesn't even matter what the reason is. If you actually care about building something sustainable in any kind of business, then you have to follow up because your credibility is at stake. And so especially, and we've all done that. I've done this where I've gone way too long without following up. So the gist is going way too long without following up. And so you really then have two choices, right? Your choice is one, you just blow it off. You're like, it's too late. I've waited too long. I'm not going to follow up either because I'm scared. I don't know how to have the conversation. I don't want to face the music of not having followed up. For whatever it is. And then the other choice is to do it, right? So here's what you have to understand if you don't do it, right? If you don't do it, it affects your credibility in a lot of ways. And so you have to recognize that in every situation, there's your reality and your intention, and there's the other person's perception. But credibility is all about the other person's perception of you. They don't know you. They don't know you deeply. They don't know how you are in every facet of your life. So they're going to judge you based on their engagement with you. And in this case, if you didn't follow up and then you choose not to follow up, their perception of you is going to be that you're not dependable, or that you're not committed to what you're doing, or that you're not professional in what you're doing. Or worse, it could be that you were insincere and didn't even believe whatever you said about whatever it is you're doing. Or that you're cowardly, which is the last thing you actually want them to think. So people are never going to forget this, because while this might be a competency issue, you might have had every intention of following up with that person, and then it got too far, and then you're like, what's the use? What's the use? They're not going to, So it could be a competency issue from your time utilization skills and your process management of your work. But it doesn't matter that it's a competency issue. It's going to be perceived as a character issue, because everything I mentioned before, insincerity, lack of dependability, not staying committed with something, not being a professional, or being cowardly, those are character things. And we don't forget character things, right? That you lowered the trust in you, and you didn't just do it with this one person. So essentially you burned the bridge. If you blow it off, you burned the bridge. And you didn't just burn the bridge with that person. That's the most important thing to recognize. You didn't just burn it with that person. You burned it with anyone that they know who might say to them, well, Todd Burrier talked to me about X, Y, and Z. What do you think? And that person's going to go, well, he talked to me a while ago. He never followed up. I don't really, it's not going to be favorable. Whatever they say is not going to be favorable. And so you won't just have blown it with one person. You will have blown it with many. But you don't have to blow it, because it's really easy what you do. The only choice is to face the music. That's the only choice. There is not another reasonable choice. And you face the music very simply. you reach out to that person and you apologize. That is the first thing you do. You don't make an excuse, although there is a way to own the fault and how it occurred that's beneficial for you, but you don't make an excuse. You say, I am so sorry that I did not get back to you. I hope that you can forgive me for that. Those are words that it's really good to practice in a lot of capacities in your life, because if you're doing anything in life, you're going to be in a situation to be saying those words. And if you don't say them, that's another credibility killer. And so you apologize, and then you can simply in some way, if you'd like, say something like suggesting that your business is booming. And, it's your fault that you couldn't handle all the activity that had begun to happen, but you're working on it. And you hope that they can forgive you and give you an opportunity to further the conversation with them. I can't even tell you how many times I've had to say that in my life. I can't tell you. But what it does is it turns something you messed up into an opportunity to grow your credibility, because apologizing grows your credibility. So I hope that's helpful for you.